Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of PhsXGaming. I am your host, EdgeGamers Organization's E.G. Physics. With PhsXGaming, I hope to bring an educational and entertaining show involving Riot Games' League of Legends to the internet. Currently, I plan to produce champion guides, replay analysis, and, once Observer Mode is released, live shoutcasting. Today, for my first episode, I will introduce the champion Amumu. Amumu is a very strong pick for a team that needs extra CC and magic damage. He excels in the jungle and can thus fulfill two of the team's roles at once. Let's take a look at my core build for Amumu. First, notice that I use Mastery's E01. I have picked up 3 points in Strength of Spirit, as this helps your health regeneration a lot with two of the items that I use, Philosopher's Stone and Force of Nature. The points I take in dodge are filler. You can replace them, to get less damage from creeps. It's personal preference mainly. I take my 9th point over here in buff duration instead of GP per 10 because I find that having a longer blue buff and red buff at the beginning of the game help me with those level 4 and level 6 ganks. Also, you're a late game contender for blue buff, so that extra 15% is still useful. Now let's take a look at my masteries. Let's take a look at my runes. Alright, as you can see, I run 9 Greater Marks of Insight, 9 Greater Seals of Clarity, 9 Glyphs of Focus, and 3 Quintessences of Insight. Basically what this comes down to is Magic Pen, flat cooldown reduction, and mana per 5. I use Magic Pen over other marks and quintessences because I find that the more damage I can put out with Despair, the better. But these runes, I think, are the easiest to personalize, in my opinion. As I exclusively jungle with the Amumu, one of my summoners is always Smite. I prefer to use Ghost as my other since I lack movement speed with Mercury Treads. However, if you want to pick the boots of quickness, then you could also pick Flash and use it offensively with your ult. Note that when I start jungling with Amumu, I start with 5 health pots and cloth armor. At level 4, I base and buy tier 1 boots, a ward, and usually another health pot or 2. Looking back at my regular core build, notice that first I have listed the Philosopher's Stone. This is included because if you do not have a successful gank at level 4 or 6, you can become somewhat gold-starved. The Philosopher's Stone packs HP per 5 and mana per 5, which increases your roaming presence, and the gold per 10 helps you afford to buy wards. This item is not always necessary, and I usually buy it only if the teams are even, or my team is somewhat behind. Mercury Treads are then included for the magic resist. This balances your armor and MR early in the game. In an average game, my next item is the Aegis of the Legion because it's a good mix of defensive stats and the aura is very helpful for your team. Next, I'll pick up either a Sunfire or a Force of Nature, whichever I need depending on how 1. My creep score is doing, and 2. How their carries are doing. From there, you can pick extra defensive items depending entirely on the game, or try and get up to 100 ability power for that extra 1% damage on your Despair. Remember, every build is situational and should always be adapted to the current game. Now, this concludes my introduction for the champion. As I want this video to be both streamed and backed up on YouTube, I'm going to break it here. In part 2, I will feature a replay analysis based on one of my recent games playing Amumu. Note that this game features a build different than the one I just read off. However, it's still good if you want to take a look at how playing Amumu, or if you want a view of playing Amumu. Now I have to stop recording broadcast.